welcome to NameHero. I'm Ryan, the founder and CEO. In this video tutorial, I'm going to talk about what is LiteSpeed Web Server and how you can use it to accelerate your website. I'm also going to show how easy it is to use even if you don't have any experience ever installing a web server or even setting up your own VPS before. It's super simple and easy regardless of your experience level. And that's the awesome thing. Before I get into all the details about LiteSpeed Web Server, the cool thing is it drops in on top of the Apache Web Server. And so it works using the standard configurations that you're probably already using for your website if you're using Apache. So there's no additional configuration necessary. And it just speeds it up. It's fast right out of the box is what I'm trying to say. So I'm on our website here, NameHero, but today I'm going to be talking about LiteSpeed in general. So whether you use this or not, I think this video would be beneficial to you. Me personally, I started using LiteSpeed like a decade ago. I had some really popular websites, and we're looking to speed them up. And LiteSpeed seemed like a perfect option, and we started to use it. And really, the benefits I just highlighted about how easy it was to set up and install, and also to continue to do maintenance with it and to set up updates. Super simple, and there wasn't a lot to it. So we could hand this off to other engineers in our organization, and this is before NameHero, and they were able to easily manage it and also make sure that our servers ran fast. Our websites in my old portfolio, we used to reach up to 250,000 unique visitors a day. So we had to have all the horsepower that we could. And previously we used like Nginx web server, which is a reverse proxy. And while it worked really good, it took someone like yours truly here to set it up and configure it. And if we needed to add another website, they had to ask me. Whereas LiteSpeed, it's super simple since it already drops into Apache, the same settings. There's no additional setup necessary after it's installed. And so it was really easy for other engineers, other webmasters to set up sites. And so if you're watching this video, we're going to talk first about the features of it, and then I'm going to show how easy it is to install it. And then I'm going to show some of the other benefits, such as using their Quic.Cloud CDN. So let's head over to LiteSpeed's website really quick. You can see right now they're on version 6. It's come a long way, but still it's been fantastic the whole way around. So they've got some of their major new features that's come about here. You can see they tout the fastest WordPress stack because they not only have their LiteSpeed web server, but they have their own WordPress caching plugin. And so this is really powerful because if you use WordPress, it's the world's most popular content management system. I vowed to say a lot of people out there watching this video use WordPress. You know how important caching can be, especially to speed up your website across the globe. And so they have their own caching plugin, which you easily install inside of WordPress, and it works alongside the LiteSpeed web server. And so it's fully compatible. They know since they have the back end under control, when you add that caching plugin inside of WordPress, it brings everything together. And once again, just like the LiteSpeed web server itself, there's not a lot of configuring that you have to do. By default, it comes pretty standard. It works nicely. You can configure it. If you're a nerd like me and you want to get into the nitty gritty, you certainly can. You can fine tune it. But even out of the box, you're going to see fantastic performance. So we've got the LiteSpeed web server, their cache, and then they came out a couple years ago with their Quic.Cloud CDN. So a CDN is a content delivery network. And what that allows you to do is serve your static resources. So your images, your CSS, your JavaScript, you get to serve that from the edge. So the edge, what's that mean? And so it doesn't have to pull when someone hits your website. They don't have to call your server, your hosting account each time. It can simply call Quic.Cloud CDN, which is a distributed, highly available network across the globe, and it can pull those resources. And so, if right now I'm in Kansas City. Now, obviously, if NameHero, our data center is in Kansas City, so everything's going to be lightning fast anyways. However, if I was, let's say, in Canada for a little bit, or maybe I was, on the West Coast in California or in New York, and I pulled up our website. And so I don't have to call all the way home to Kansas City to pull all those static images, which some might be kind of large. Instead, Quic.Cloud CDN, it sits there on the edge of the network, and it can pull from a data center closest to me, which speeds up your website. And it can also do all kinds of cool things like compression, HTTP3 protocol, all kinds of stuff. So these are just some of the main features. There's a lot more I can get into, which I'll probably save for a little bit more of a detailed video. But again, I think we're going to talk a good bit here already, just about the basics. If you use a control panel with your website, so the most popular is like cPanel and Plesk, Direct Admin, They actually have their own called cPanel, and I've used it. It's pretty good. Cloud Pages. And then there's also, one-click cloud providers that offer it. But again, I'm going to show you how to easily install it, whether you use one of these or not. HTTP3, again, they had HTTP3 out really early, and so you guys know that's, you guys and girls, that's that's the future of the internet, and so it's built in all of their products across the board, and you're going to get that performance. So you can see they even have their HTTP3 check. So once you get LiteSpeed set up and configured on your website, you can go test it to make sure that your website's utilizing that technology. If you go down here, you can see their performance, and so you can really test this for yourself. But this is quite amazing, and I've ran a lot of these same benchmarks myself, and I can concur out of the box. Now it depends on how nitty gritty you get. You can tune these up, but of course they're going to show the best benchmarks on their site here. But we have LiteSpeed, Nginx, which I was talking about early, and then we have Apache. So Apache's free and open source. It comes standard on a lot of VPSs out there. A lot of web hosting accounts by standard, use the Apache web server. And while it's came a long way since its early years, it's still not as fast as LiteSpeed or Nginx. Nginx, that reverse proxy I was talking about. And again, it's awesome as well, but there's a lot more configuration that actually goes into that. All right, they got some testimonials and then some other stuff here. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's go right here and really quick talk about this. They've got a really nice documentation section on their website. So you can see if you have any questions outside of this video, make sure that you give this a good read because they really highlight a lot of stuff. I mean, from configuring stuff, I already said that the default works good, but if you want to really configure specific things, they tell you exactly how to do that. And also they help you troubleshoot some common issues that might be applicable to your case, such as maybe having a higher load on your VPS. It'll teach you how to handle that as well. Okay, here's a Quic.Cloud CDN. And you can see it's got a bunch of stuff in here too, but the main thing is that you can optimize and pull your images, your CSS, as well as your placeholders, all that stuff. It can handle it. And they continue to grow. They have 79 POPs and 173,000 clients, almost 1 million domains using it. So they're growing quite a bit. Some people compare their Quic.Cloud CDN to Cloudflare. Cloudflare is obviously the most popular CDN out there, but Quic.Cloud's doing really well. And I really like the specific niche they've kind of carved out for themselves, because just like that LiteSpeed cache plugin for WordPress, their Quic.Cloud CDN, it also integrates right into that. So instead of having to go to Cloudflare and set up an account there and change your name servers and then go into Cloudflare's interface and configure all that for your website, you can configure everything right inside of your WordPress and it's just done. So it keeps saying everything in one spot, and you're not having to go all these random spots or random websites and do more and more configurations, which take time. And then later on, you might forget where everything was. So it just keeps it simple. So I really like Quic.Cloud. Their pricing, it's pretty fair. They've got, let's see if it's got the pricing plan. They've got a free plan, and it's got some good stuff too. Let's see. I think you have to go through one of their partners to get the free plan. And then there's bandwidth costs once you kind of get up there. If you go with a LiteSpeed partner, then you get even more of these credits for free. And what I've seen from our customers at NameHero, they pretty much get all the free credits they need, but we're a partner at NameHero. And so if they're using our shared web hosting or reseller hosting, then these credits that come with your account at NameHero are sufficient for most websites. Some need to buy a little extra, but they're not very expensive. You can see 5,000 is $5. But again, most of the credits that come with it are all you're going to need. They also have a really good informative website here if you want to read more about their features. I'm not going to spend a ton of time talking about this because I do want to get into how to set it up and install it. Okay, so I've got two different services I'm going to show you today. So I've got here at NameHero, we have LiteSpeed web hosting on our cloud web hosting, as well as our reseller hosting. And so I'm going to demonstrate that to use WordPress and how to set up the LiteSpeed cache plugin. And I also have one of our VPSs here at NameHero. And if you're using a VPS at AWS or another provider out there, then this tutorial is going to apply as well to you. I'm going to use a VPS that has cPanel and Web Host Manager set up. I feel like that's a really common setup for people nowadays. However, as long as you have a terminal and command line, it's just going to be a one-liner command that I'm going to paste in here. So on our VPSs, LiteSpeed come as an add-on. By default, they have Apache. Not everyone wants LiteSpeed. They don't want to have that license cost, even though it's not much, but they don't want the added cost to it. So it's an additional add-on. If you want it, you can add it, and our team will even install it for you. But I'm going to show you how simple that is today. So I'm going to go over here. This is my VPS, and I tried to get everything logged in here so we could be ready for the video and not have to spend time logging into Web Host Manager. But again, if you don't have Web Host Manager, you don't have Plesk or any control panel, that's fine. Just pull up your terminal if you're going to follow along. And you do need root access. So I'm in Web Host Manager on my VPS. I've got root. Who am I? I'm root. Or you'll need to be able to sudo up to escalate into root to install this, because you are going to be overriding or dropping in over top of the Apache web server. So you have to have access to those files and folders. So if I go to service HTTP status, you can see Apache is up and running. Going to Control C. And also that this plugs right into not only Apache, but also Web Host Manager and cPanel, and they've got a plugin for it. That, again, it just makes things really nice and easy, especially for those that don't have like a full-on IT department or a lot of tech experience. So I've got here at NameHero, again, it's a configurable option here. One thing I do want to cover is the license cost for LiteSpeed Web Server. I didn't highlight that. I feel like that is important because I don't want you to get hung up on that. They've got a free version. Let's see, let's go over to the site here, products. They've got a free version called Open LiteSpeed, and it just has a few things that it lacks, but it's a good place to get started. They've got this comparison table that shows you, it's got a powerful cache engine, Apache rewrites. Again, you want that because if you're using Apache, you want to make sure that those rewrite files and stuff, your htaccess files, will come over correctly. cPanel and direct admins, this won't work for cPanel. And unlimited workers, industry standard mod security library, open source and free, and community support. Their enterprise, it's the most powerful caching, full Apache compatibility, but it also does work with that cPanel, Plesk, direct admin, cPanel, and others. The number of workers is based on the license, and that's what I want to talk about. If I go over here, a worker is how many CPUs or virtual CPU cores are allocated to LiteSpeed. So if you have a really busy VPS or busy website, the more workers, the better performance you're going to get out of it. So if you notice, like when you install LiteSpeed, if you see a higher CPU usage, then you might need to allocate another worker, another core to that. Just for better performance. And they also base things on memory. So how much memory your VPS or server has kind of plays into this too, on which license you need. So at NameHero on ours, let's pull it back over here. For $45 a month, we have their 8 gig of RAM and max workers license. So this one's not on their website. I think this is like an exclusive type deal. So it's unlimited memory, unlimited domain, but 2 workers. I think it's similar to this one right here. Might have changed up the features some since I had it on there, but it's very comparable to the professional one. But it does allow for these, unlimited domains. Now, well, this is 2 workers. Okay, I'm sorry, that's the difference. 2 workers, unlimited memory. This one has unlimited workers, but 8 gigs of RAM max. Okay, so my VPS here at NameHero that I'm demonstrating on has 2. So this is just a demo one. We've got all kinds of VPSs here at NameHero, and you can check them out. But again, you can use any provider you want to, but the RAM does play a piece into this LiteSpeed license. So you can see the license I have will go all the way up to our 8 gig of RAM VPS. So just check whichever one you're using. The more you allocate it, the better performance you're going to have. So the license I have will cover any 4 of these right here. Okay. So let's go in here now to our command line. All right, so Apache's already running. Now, if you're doing this on a live server, so warning, if you have sites running right now, and when you install LiteSpeed, it is going to take Apache down for a second because it has to drop in LiteSpeed. So it's going to stop Apache, install it, which means your website's going to go down. So if you're doing this on a VPS or server that's live, make sure you do it during off hours or expect you're going to have a little glitch of downtime. It's not a ton, but as I tell people here at NameHero, like don't go doing this on Monday morning, especially if you're doing this for a client and they're expecting traffic to their website, because if something does go wrong, you don't want to have that on your back. So I like to do it in evening hours, weekends. That way it gives us a little time to make sure everything looks good. But again, it's really easy to do just in case the unforeseen would happen. So I'm looking over here to my left because I've got my welcome email from LiteSpeed, and it's just one command right here. So when you purchase your LiteSpeed license, again, if you're working with us at NameHero, then our team will go ahead and do this for you. But they'll send you this command, and this is all you need to install it. So you have root access to your server. That's a requirement, or you have to sudo up. You're just going to type in bash, and this is actually going to curl their install script, and this is your license key. So this is how the LiteSpeed system knows that you paid for it. And again, if you're buying from LiteSpeed direct, they'll give you this license as soon as you make your payment. So all I do is click enter. Cannot find a license file, we will ask you for preferred settings instead. For automated bulk provisioning, you may want to exit and create a file. So if you're doing this like if you have 20 servers, you can create a bulk provisioning file to deploy it in all of them. So it's also nice for those bulk installs. We're just going to continue it. Okay, enable PHP SU exec. PHP SU exec. So this basically it keeps PHP running and the users under the user's name themselves. So on the server, let's say my username is NameHero for my website. You want PHP to run as that user. So if you have multiple root users, you don't want people running PHP as root, because that's one sure way to get your server compromised. If you're running PHP as root, it's a bad idea. Someone exploits that PHP, they got whole access to your server. So I like using PHP SU exec because that takes care of this for you. You can always assign a worker to PHP and all that, but especially if you're going to have multiple servers, just enable it and keep it simple. So what we're going to do, run as account owner, use your home directory defaults 2. Anytime you're unsure, you can always just go with 2. I'm just going to enable it on. All right, Apache port offset. So LiteSpeed lets you not just drop in or replace to Apache. You can run them simultaneously, but they would be on a different port. So you would have to kind of get into your port settings. Now, for I would say 9 out of 10 people watching this, or even me, I shut down Apache completely, and I don't do a port offset. So I use the default, port 80 and 443 for LiteSpeed. So it's going to run just like, not only drop in for Apache, but it's going to run just like it. So I don't want to run them parallel. I really don't see why you would really need to do that, and so I don't recommend doing it, but you can if you really want to. All right, so the default is 1000, so what we want to do is set to 0, use the same port. Let's raise to a 0. Admin username, so there is an admin console. I'm just going to look over here because I'm going to type up something. You want to give this name something stronger than admin. Everyone's going to try admin if they try to get into it. An admin email address, so if something goes wrong, you want to be notified of it. And these are like automated emails, if LiteSpeed messes up. Okay. Easy Apache. So Easy Apache is a module that Web Host Manager and cPanel uses to build PHP. LiteSpeed has its own PHP handler, so it's called LSPHP or LS API. It's really, really fast. And so those of you that are watching this might be familiar with PHP FPM. It's very comparable to that performance without that memory footprint. So LiteSpeed's PHP handler is super quick, very light memory footprint, and it really runs really nice on your CPU. So it doesn't take a lot of resources, and so I highly recommend it. They even have a free handler, even if you don't have LiteSpeed, that you can use, and I even recommend doing that on Apache, unless you do want to go down the PHP FPM rabbit hole. All right, so I want to enable it. I'm using Easy Apache 4, so it's going to automatically work anyways. Switch to LiteSpeed web server. So that kind of goes back to if this is a live server, you might not want to switch it right now if you're not, if you have production traffic going on. Even though the downtime is small, there is still going to be a little bit while it switches over. This is a stock server here, so I'm going to go ahead and switch it. So let's see here. 1, enable it. Deploy LiteSpeed cache plugin automatically. So this will actually scan your server, and any WordPress sites and stuff, it's going to go ahead and start setting up stuff. So if they want to use LiteSpeed cache, they can. If you're using WordPress really to get all the benefits out of LiteSpeed, I don't see why you wouldn't want to do this. So of course I'm going to do a 1. All right, here we go. So now it's going to download the files, and it's getting to work here. So it's all automated, so you can see it's a couple simple questions, and now we're getting it here. Let's give it a second. I'm going to let it finish here just so I can show you what it looks like. Performing a graceful restart. So here's that little blip of downtime. All right. Scan, okay, so it couldn't scan the cache stuff. That's still fine. And they gave us the random password. So you've got the password to your configuration area. I'll paste that over here if I lose it. And here's the port. So 7080, that's how you get to your LiteSpeed admin area. And I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. So now if we go to HTTP status, you'll see the LiteSpeed server is running. So at the beginning of this video, it showed Apache. Now we see LiteSpeed. So we're all set here. It's running LiteSpeed, looks good. Also, they've got a web host manager plugin. So if I type in now LiteSpeed web server, and you're going to see I've got this little configuration area. So first off, LiteSpeed's running. Here's the process ID, Apache offset 0, so Apache's not running. It looks like it needs to update the time zone extension, so let's resolve that now. Confirm. While that runs, I'm just going to open another window, kind of briefly highlight these. So here's the current version. If you ever want to switch the version, you can do it from right here. You know, if you need to force reinstall, once you get more versions installed, more would show up here if you need to roll something back. You've got LiteSpeed configuration. So here's the web admin console. Here's the cache root setup. So first off, this is where you would go to make changes to the actual configuration of the LiteSpeed server. Out of the box, LiteSpeed's pretty good. Even the other docs will tell you this. You know, out of the box, you know, you should be just fine. So me personally, unless I'm having like a lot of activity on a server, the default settings work good. So when in doubt, start with the default settings, and then if you start running some bottlenecks or have some issues, then you can take a look at you know, optimizing these settings. But I'm just going to show you where it is, so you know how to get to it. And it's not going to work for me because I'm not behind my VPN. So I'll have to save that for another video. But anyways, you would go to your port 7080, as I mentioned, but this would take you there. I'm not behind my VPN. I've got this locked down so no evildoers get in there. But that's where you'd go make those configuration changes that are very specific. But again, if you don't know what you're doing, you really don't need to be going in there and changing stuff because you can mess up things quite bad if you don't know. Cache root setup, this was done. This is has to do with the WordPress caching plugin I was talking about. This is where the cache settings are going to be, and I just chose the default location. I'd say that's going to be the ideal location for 9 out of people watching this video. As you can see, SUExec is installed, so it's all good. Our max connection's 10. You know, again, this is pretty good outside of the box. You know, you could up that to 20. Well, I've got a really small server, so let's keep it at 10. If your server's a little big, or if you start hitting bottlenecks, then you can customize that. 10's good for now. And then you've got the option to uninstall LiteSpeed. So obviously, when you go back to Apache, you can do that. This would restart it. And let's see, is it still not going? I think. All right, we'll have to resolve that again in a bit. Sometimes it takes a bit for that to go away. All right, so here's where you go to restart it. You can also use cPanel's native. So even though it says like Apache in here, if you go to restart HTTP server, this would actually mean LiteSpeed now because it dropped in, replaced it. So you can restart it from there. Your detached processes, it's kind of self-explanatory there, but if your detached PHP processes, this will inform LiteSpeed to restart all processes that have been detached that use the PHP handler itself. I just restart all LiteSpeed if I want to do that. All right, here's your cache management area. So if you have WordPress websites on your cPanel Web Host Manager server, they'll start to show up here so you can actually scan the whole server. And websites that aren't using this, you can enable it inside of here. And that way that if you're like a web host or an agency and you have customers, they can get benefits from this and they don't have to go install the plugin themselves. So it just automatically installs the caching plugin in their WordPress. I think most people enjoy that, but some people might get angry. So if you do have customers who are picky, you might want to ask. Know that from experience. And let's see. Okay, so we've got the mass enable current version. As things get updated, you can go to the higher version. Always run the latest one when you can. Dashboard notifier, so you can broadcast stuff into people's WordPress. So again, if you have customers, this is when that's useful. You can send them messages about your service or whatnot. Quic.Cloud IPs. So if you run a firewall on your VPS, these IPs have to be whitelisted for Quic.Cloud CDN, and it automatically does that when you install LiteSpeed, but they also provide those just in case you need to tweak your firewall as well. Maybe you have a network firewall or something. License status just shows your license is good. You can change your license or transfer it to another server. If you want to switch back to Apache, you would click here and do it. If you want to switch to LiteSpeed, you can do that here if you switch over from Apache. And if you want to run them simultaneously, you would do that here. There is a cPanel plugin, so if you do have customers and you want them to be able to manage some things of LiteSpeed inside of there, you would install this first, then enable it in here. I think most of your customers won't need to. If they want to be able to dump their cache, they can do it inside a cPanel, but it's pretty self-explanatory. Just click install and it does it for you. Besides these options here, that's pretty much all there is to their interface inside of Web Host Manager. If you're not using Web Host Manager and you're using another control panel, they've got similar to this, or they do have their own control panel, which again, I can't get to right now. But again, it's pretty much the same features as this, but a lot more. So again, if you don't have Web Host Manager, then you might go in there to do some of this stuff. But again, by default, most everything is pretty solid. All right, so if you have a VPS, it's installed, you're ready to go, and that's it. Just start, if you're on Web Host Manager, just start creating accounts, and or your accounts you already have are going to be using LiteSpeed now. So that's all there is to it. Let's go over and look at our business cloud here at NameHero. So these are our entry-level this is our entry level. We go on up here. So I would say also like 90% of people watching this video would probably like to start here. They say, hey Ryan, I'm not ready for a VPS. I don't want to even install it. That's fine. LiteSpeed comes free on all of our web hosting accounts. So all 4 of these have LiteSpeed, and you can see it's denoted here, free LiteSpeed, free LiteSpeed. Same with our resellers. If you have a reseller account at NameHero, LiteSpeed's already on it. So there's no additional license costs, anything. It comes standard with our web hosting packages, and it has ever since 2016. So like within our first year, we moved to LiteSpeed because of those performance benefits. So whatever package you have here, it does have it. If you're not at NameHero, that's fine. Just, you might want to ask your current web host if they have it, because this next part of the video, I'm going to show my example WordPress website, and I'm going to talk about the caching, the LiteSpeed cache plugin, which works alongside WordPress, because that's really where you're going to see those performance gains. Just installing it, that is a good jump forward from Apache, but you really don't see those big performance jumps until you set up their WordPress caching plugin. So let's go to here. So I use cPanel on this. So I'm going to go right here, log in cPanel. Alrighty. And so my example domain is keydiets.com. If I click it here, it's just a demo WordPress page. I use kind of a default theme I found for free on it. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to install the LiteSpeed cache plugin on this WordPress. So if you're using NameHero, we've got our WordPress manager here. And KeyDiet's what I want to work with today. So all we have to do is go to plugins and go to add new. Under here, I'm going to type in LiteSpeed. And here it is. So again, if you are at NameHero and you're using our web hosting, LiteSpeed's already included. Their caching plugin is free. So if for those of you that are using even Open LiteSpeed, you can still use, I think you can use the LiteSpeed cache with it. As long as you have the LiteSpeed web server, and you really might be able to use it with just Apache. Don't take my word for that, but I think so. But it's going to work best if you do have the LiteSpeed web server, obviously. So I just got to click install now. Look how many, over 4 million plus installs. Look at all those stars. I mean, it's a really, really good plugin. All right, to activate it, I just click activate. And now I've got this menu in my WordPress called LiteSpeed Cache. And we'll start at dashboard. So first off, you can see they highlight their Quic.Cloud service. So we'll talk about that in a second. But once you get that going, it actually will show you what it's doing. Show you what it's doing to your images. It'll show you the optimization for your pages, your CDN bandwidth, all that good stuff. It'll give you a Quic.Cloud dashboard as well. It's going to show your page load time and your page score. So as you get things enabled here, it's going to show you how much faster it's made your website by enabling the Quic.Cloud CDN, LiteSpeed cache, kind of the whole trifecta there. By default, as soon as you enable it, the public cache is enabled, the private cache is enabled. Object cache and browser cache are default to off. Object caching, that's like your database type stuff, and that does depend on your PHP extensions on the back end of things. So object caching is default disabled, and just the public and private cache are the first ones that are enabled. And then we also have our critical CSS stuff and a bunch of stuff. All right, so let's just go look at our presets. Okay, so they've got this nice, I'm really glad to see they came out with these. To take things, to make it even simpler, they kind of have like, you know, what are you exactly looking to do with your website? And they've got these where you can actually just click apply, and it's going to apply these settings. Their advanced is pretty good. That's why they say it's recommended, because it does it on here, you know. There's not a lot. The only thing is you have to have a domain key. So I'll show you how to get that. So go down to here. All right, so let's go get that domain key to make sure that is good. Let's see. Request the domain key. Let's see, I think we need to start here first to get that. Let's see if I can get a test here going. So we have to set up our Quic.Cloud account to get a domain key so we can use all those features. So I'm just going to sign up here with my email, and I'm just doing a separate email here because I don't want to go into my normal LiteSpeed cache account or Quic.Cloud. Let's use a strong password, folks. Let me grab one I have over here. All right, I'm going to have to validate that. Let's go back to WordPress here now. All right, so while that goes through, I sign up, we'll go back to my dashboard, and let's see if I have a key yet. There we go. My key already came. So I've requested my key, it came. I registered for my Quic.Cloud account because I will need that, but I've got to go validate my email address and all that stuff. But you can see now my dashboard here, I'm getting some cool things starting to show up here. Since I applied that preset, it automatically set up my browser cache for me now. Now that I've got a domain key, I can go in here and look at some of the stuff. All right, so this is applied already. If you have settings, so you know, once you get like your specific, like this is the cache settings, you can import them to other websites. You know, if you have multiple websites, multiple clients, export and import, and that'll save you some time. Let's go to general. So automatically upgrade. I like to do that. I like to keep things updated because you're going to save time. Let's see. Yep, it's not going to let me unless I validate my email. Maybe I'll show the Quic.Cloud CDN dashboard in another video because we have to get into DNS and all that stuff to get that going. Guest mode. Guest mode provides an always cacheable landing page, but it also automates a guest first time visit. So if someone comes to your site for the first time, then it's going to make sure that it pulls those fresh variables. But again, I just suggest leaving all this stuff as default. You can enter the server's IP address to pull that instead of the domain, which eliminates the overhead of DNS and CDN lookups. The problem here is you have to have a dedicated IP address. Additional multiple IPs configured. I don't know, let's see. If I take my primary IP, this might still work. It didn't yell at me, so I guess we'll see. See what happens here. All right, cache. Again, all these are configured because I use that preset, but you can see, man, we can get into all kinds of different levels here. You know, first you're going to disable it. If someone's logged in, so this is one thing that people will say here at NameHero, or customers will say, hey, I didn't enable caching because I found my customers went to buy a product or logged into their account that things were getting cached and they weren't getting stuff in their cart correctly. Well, you can easily just don't cache the logged in users if that's the case. And so if you have a membership website, I've seen that problem before too. If they're logged in, just simply don't cache them, and then you don't have to worry about, all or nothing. You can still cache that front end of your website. Nowadays, a lot of membership websites and scripts out there, they code their stuff in a way to where that session doesn't get interrupted by caching. So I would just suggest leaving it on unless you see there's a problem. But instead of just disabling caching altogether, if there is, you can just disable it on parts of your website. Cache commenters, so if you leave a comment on a WordPress site, it might not show up immediately, or you might not get the latest content if it's cached. So sometimes you might want to turn those off. But again, I just would start everything default on, and then kind of work your way backwards from there. That way, you have a set standard for your site, and then you're not trying to troubleshoot, because you start messing with all these options, and you look at it and say, well, why am I not getting the performance I want? Well, you kind of deviated from the plan. It's hard to, kind of specify, kind of look at what is the exact issue. So leave all this stuff, the time to lives, just leave it default, unless you know what you're doing. If you need to purge your cache, which means, when it's caching these resources, it's essentially pulling it from your server, your web hosting account, putting it on their CDN, and it's cached up there. So if you make a change to your website design, it's not going to show up instantly because it's still cached. So that's why we would purge. And you can see if you automatically upgrade, it's going to purge it, or it's going to purge it when you automatically upgrade the plugin. All right, so all this stuff looks good to me. Excludes, if there's any you don't want to cache, you can specifically put it inside of here. ESI, so if you want to turn on ESI, you can. Again, I would just go with the default and go from there. I don't want to get too complicated or over the top here. For object caching, so you have to have either one or both of these PHP extensions. So this depends on your web host and your server configuration. So if I'm using my VPS I just set up there, I have to make sure that I install either Memcached or Redis in order for the object caching to work. At NameHero, we have Memcache installed. We do have Redis installed too, but you have to enable that in cPanel. But you could really just kind of start here. Since Memcache is enabled, we can go here. I think that's the right port. It said it passed, so we're just going to save it and see if it connects up here. Passed, looks good. All right, let's see what happens now. Advanced. We're not going to do any of that right now. I don't want to get too crazy, because if I make too crazy of recommendations, people start doing it and they say, I broke my website, Ryan, because you got a little wild. So again, start with the default settings, or as you saw, we applied that one preset that was recommended, which is, I'm guessing, kind of erring on the side of caution. And then you can go up or down in caching based on the performance of your website. Let's see if we can sync this page load now and see our page score. Oh boy, there we go. So before, and again, I've just got a default WordPress site here, so I don't have a lot of content. But you can see before I was at about a little bit more than a half of a second. Now I'm at 0.11 of a second. So I improved my speed by 83% just by setting up the LiteSpeed cache and enabling the Quic.Cloud CDN. Super simple to do, right? I mean, there's nothing really technical we did on here. Even at the beginning of the video, that's for our VPS friends that don't have a web host that's already using LiteSpeed, or are running Apache. Super simple to get this stuff going. Sync our page speed score. Now, one thing to keep in mind with these type of scores, this is also dependent on your website in itself. So while LiteSpeed cache is fantastic, does a great job, you also can't use this for the excuse to shy away from some good principles when setting up your website. If you have 100 plugins on WordPress, you have a theme with 1 million different images, you haven't optimized those images, even though it will optimize your images too. If you set yourself up in a winning position, the more you're going to get out of this. It does get a little frustrating when I see customers that will come on to NameHero, or I see them out in the message boards and say, well, LiteSpeed didn't work. I tried it once. Well, did you just, you have to set your website up in a position to win. While it does do fantastic out of the box, make sure your website's just using some good standard practices. Make sure WordPress is up to date. Make sure all your plugins are up to date. Make sure you're using like the latest version of PHP. Just some good practices like that to make sure you get the most out of this. Because yes, it does increase your page speed and your load time very greatly. But if you set your website up to win from the beginning, the more of a jump you're going to see. So we've got all these features going now. Look, we've got all these greens here. Our images are being optimized, our critical CSS. Hey, we have a queue going here, unique CSS, low quality image placeholder. I don't have that on right now. I'm not going to go that far into this tutorial here. So now we are pretty much up and running. There's not a whole lot more we have to do. Our site's certainly being cached now. And again, it was just kind of my default page, so it was already kind of fast, but I mean, it's loading as fast. I can almost just think of the page and it's loading now. Let's see if I can't find I mean, really, I'm literally thinking, I'm going to some other site now. I can almost think of the page and it's loading. So we are all set. So that's all there is to it. That's how we set up the LiteSpeed cache plugin and set up Quic.Cloud to work with it. And now, really there's nothing else we have to add inside of there. You know what? I didn't do that. I don't do that. Save. If you are using Cloudflare, you can input that in here as well. So there are customers who say, I'm already using Cloudflare, I don't want to use an RCDN. They do have a section for that. So it's important to note. And I got to there just by going to CDN. Some of the CDN settings here, we've got to actually set up some DNS here to map this bad boy out, to get all the CDN for my images and CSS and JavaScript. So that's a little bit of a different setup, which we'll go through here. And then you manage it inside of here. Now again, I'm not going to get into the full CDN setup because that's a little bit outside the scope of this video. I just really wanted to show kind of the main features and not go through all that stuff. But you can still see without that enabled, I'm still doing, when I'm not getting some of these features, I'm still getting some great benefits. I mean, 83% improved. My page speed score before was 96 and now it's 100. What more can you ask for, right? Some people will too test their website and say, well, I used GTmetrix and it didn't have a perfect score. Here's the thing. With GTmetrix and some of the browser-based tools, they send a pile of requests direct to your server, direct to your account. Most firewalls treat that as DDoS. I know at NameHero we certainly do. So because these browser-based speed testing tools, they're coming from all kinds of random servers, your Vultr servers, your AWS, and so all that comes in so hot and heavy it looks like a DDoS and it begins to get throttled to protect your website. So now, sometimes your page score is not going to show up as fast as it's going to here because the IPs are getting throttled. So that's why I really like they put these in here. Because remember, during our LiteSpeed install video, or this section I did the install, it whitelists the IPs from their services. So that's why we're able to get an accurate page speed and page load score right inside of here, because those IPs have been whitelisted and they're not going to be throttled back by DDoS protection. So if you go to test your GTmetrix and you're like, well, why does it not give me this jump that I'm seeing here? That's why. Your server, your firewall is treating it as DDoS. Solution to that, find the IPs for GTmetrix and whitelist them. If now the thing with that is you're allowing all those IPs to come to your site at any time and send a lot of traffic to it. But if that's will make you feel better about it, then feel free to do that. Okay, so now our WordPress website's using it. I think that's all I've got for that section of it. And our VPS is also running this. Still got to get our time zone extension fixed there. And then we'll be set there. All right, so let's head back over to LiteSpeed's product page here. I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything inside of here. I don't think so. I think I've got it all covered here. All right, so let's just do a quick recap here so everyone's on the same page. LiteSpeed. It's a drop-in replacement to the Apache web server. Apache's free and open source, and it comes on most of your LAMP stacks out there. So your default LAMP stacks have Apache. So if you're using one of those, you can use Apache, and you can use LiteSpeed. It drops right in. So that means your HT access with your rewrite files and all that can come right over. If you're using WordPress, like all those SEO-friendly links, it will continue to work without any additional configuration. I know that's my friends at Nginx. Sometimes that's the hang-up. LiteSpeed works with many different control panels. Let's go back here. As we mentioned, there was, where did we go here? cPanel, cPanel Plus, Direct Admin, CyberPanel, and Cloud Pages. So if you have one of these, it can easily drop in. They have their open source version, which only works with either CyberPanel or just a default LAMP stack. And then their enterprise version works with these control panels. The difference in the licenses has to deal with your workers. So once again, those workers are based off of choosing a license, and you can see this goes into it here. Your domain, workers, and RAM limit. That's what dictates how big of a license that you're going to get. Unlimited domains, obviously that's a big one too. How many domains do you have and how many workers based off of it. Workers are CPU cores, so that more workers, the better performance, the more throughput you can get on it, and of course the RAM and your VPS. NameHero, we have the 8 gig license right available inside of our control panel. You can order it with your VPS if you want to, or you can order it after the fact, and this is the $45. This has unlimited domains, 8 gigabyte of RAM limit, unlimited workers and domains in that tier. I think that's all there is to it. And if you use our web hosting at NameHero, LiteSpeed's already installed, configured, ready to rock. You just have to set up the LiteSpeed cache for WordPress if you choose to do so. And again, to fully get the benefits out of LiteSpeed Web Server, you got to use that cache plugin, because as you can see, once we enabled it just in our WordPress here, remember, before installation here, this was still using LiteSpeed Web Server. So think about how, even much more we gained, 83% more by enabling this caching plugin. Caching is very important nowadays, especially with websites getting more and more dynamic and, having more stuff that comes actually drawn into the page. You need to be caching for sure. You get higher rankings in Google, and plus with mobile phones out there, things load a lot quicker with caching. If you do not have a WordPress website, there still is settings for LiteSpeed caching for other content, but again, that's outside the scope of this video. I would suggest if you're really wanting to try LiteSpeed cache, get the LiteSpeed web server going first, and then you can kind of go down that rabbit hole there. It's a must for me. For me in WordPress, LiteSpeed cache, Quic.Cloud, that's like the trifecta for my websites personally. I'm really impressed and really like what the LiteSpeed crowd's done. I'm really proud that we have a great partnership with them here at NameHero. Last thing I'll say is if you're a reseller, an agency, you can offer your customers LiteSpeed web hosting through any of our reseller hosting packages. And there's no install or anything like that needed for LiteSpeed. It's not like our VPS we had to set up. If you have any questions about LiteSpeed web server, feel free to leave them below this video. I have been trying to get really good about looking out for these. I even enabled it in my email box. So when I get a comment, it comes in there, and I'm trying to reply to those as quickly as I can, but sometimes I do get behind. If you are a NameHero customer, please don't leave support issues in the ticket in the comments down in the YouTube video. Give those a support ticket, because our superheroes are standing by 24/7, 365, and they can address those issues a lot faster any time of the day or night. It's also, if this video helped you out, I certainly do appreciate if you mash that thumbs up. That kind of signals to me, hey, you like the video, you want more LiteSpeed stuff and more WordPress stuff, and I'll make sure to produce that type of content. And of course, if you haven't already, subscribe to our YouTube channel. So as that new content comes out, you're made aware of it, and then you can, make sure you sharpen your knowledge, because stuff changes. The LiteSpeed, I did this video initially 5-6 years ago. A lot's changed since then. So wanted to make an updated video with like all these new features and kind of how the new process goes. If you're subscribed, you'll get that little red bullet at the top of your YouTube, and then you'll know that you can watch it and make sure you're making the most out of your LiteSpeed settings. I think that's all I have for this video, but thanks so much for watching and using us here at NameHero.com.